In this video, we will be tasting and talking about 3 different days of Lishan High Mountain Oolong Spring 2022 harvest. It's an exciting day here at EcoCha. We are finally getting to taste our Spring 2022 batches of Lishan High Mountain Oolong tea. Lishan is the most prestigious name in Taiwan tea overall. It's the highest elevation tea growing region in Taichung County, partially in Hualien County, along the northern central mountain range. One of the reasons it's become the most prestigious name is that for decades, as high mountain tea became more and more popular throughout the 90s and early 2000s, there was this basic motto, so to speak, that the higher the elevation, the better the quality. Now that's valid to an extent. There are other factors that come into play, however, like farm management and skillful processing. Nevertheless, the environment at these higher elevations, particularly in the Lishan tea growing region, are ideal and do produce the best raw produce overall. So we have 3 batches of tea that we are tasting today. We were unable to go up to the factory for a number of circumstances, inclement weather and timing. So the tea came down off the mountain 2 days ago and was delivered to us today, samples of it. And yeah, it's really nice to be finally tasting it. We've been anxiously awaiting this occasion. I brewed 9 grams of tea leaves in 150 milliliter tea brewing cups for 1 minute. I went ahead and tasted these teas before starting to film for a couple of reasons, because I really needed personally to give it my full attention and experience them without any other activity going on. So I brewed it twice, 1 minute each, and tasted the first 2 brews. But I also wanted to be able to look at the brewed tea leaves while talking about them. So I combined the first and second brews in the back row from my perspective, and there's a third brew here in my first row, all brewed for 1 minute each. So going with the dried leaves, the first impression of the batches, these are just daily harvests, 3 daily harvests. We don't know which was first. They are designated by the quantity, the amount that was produced in dry leaf material. But it appears to me that the way I lined them up, on my left, the leaves, the dry leaves are the largest, the bulkiest nuggets, just slightly, but noticeably larger than the batch in the middle. And then the batch on my right is the smallest nuggets and darkest green, indicating that the batch on my left was the most mature leaf material, the middle was in the middle, and the batch on my right was the youngest leaf material. The brewed tea is very similar in color. If I had to discriminate, I would say that the left is the lightest, the middle is again in the middle, and the right has a little bit more, a deeper hue of golden yellow. Looking at the brewed leaf material, it's less obvious between the brewed leaves, between the batch on my left and the middle. In other words, they look very similar to me. There are some stems in the batch on my left here that are thicker, which indicates that they were on the tree longer. So most likely this was a later day of harvest, and this was in the middle, and this is an early day of harvest. And there were at least a few days of rain after the first couple of days of harvest that interrupted the harvest, basically. They were not able to pick leaves and waited for the rain to subside and continued with harvest. So I'm guessing, and would put money on it even, that the batch on my right is a pre-rainy day harvest and the other 2 were picked later. So tasting them, it's not going to be an easy choice this time around. I'm just going to go ahead and get back into it. I'll go with the combined batches. I haven't tasted the combined first and second brews together. When I tasted them separately, the first brew was very light. These leaves take a bit to get going, and these cups are, well, it just brewing them for 1 minute just barely gets some of the actual full-on constituency out of them. I'm now getting to taste it at room temperature, basically, the first and second brews combined, which is more indicative. You really get a sense of the overall composition once it has settled into itself. When it's hot, the volatile oils are evaporating, basically, which makes it more volatile. It's not as easy to determine the overall composition. You definitely get more of the aromatic profile when the leaves are steaming, so to speak, but the flavor and the overall composition of the brewed tea is more pronounced and just more representative when it's cooled down. Okay, I'm getting a really nice mouthfeel on both of the first and second brews from my left to my right. I'm going to go back. Soft, mellow, balanced, soothing. Perhaps even a thicker mouthfeel, a little sweeter. Pardon my moments of silence here. I do want to give it respect and concentrate. Okay. Third brew, the smallest, the least mature leaf material, is offering a more concentrated flavor. Might just have a slight bit more astringency there. You'll have to pardon the rain sounds. It's really, the rain is back, the harvest is done, thank goodness, and we're having basically a monsoon going on here all over Taiwan in these few days. Okay, I'm going to go to the third brew. The third brew was done after the leaves kind of cooled down in the cup, which changes them to an extent. And this will also just be a different, well, just a different angle of perceiving how the third brew went. Still got a little temperature here. There's a little more of a green factor in the middle. It's a really nice flavor profile. Although it's the most subtle, I think clearly the brew on my left here, we're learning more and more. We continue to learn after all these years that subtle composition is the most satisfying in the long run. It's not like immediately impressive. It doesn't have a lot of flair. It's got dignity, you might say, or maturity. Definitely more pronounced flavor. Allowing the leaves to have cooled down and then brewing them again, it's almost like you're getting a slightly cooked or steamed version of the leaves. So it kind of, it reveals their, their spectrum a little more. Perhaps revealing what could be called their shortcomings, but just learning more about what they have and what they're made of. Now we've got a nice mellow pour out there. Well, inadvertently, I lined these teas up in a way, like we looked at the dry leaves. We have the largest nugs on my left, the medium-sized nugs in the middle, and the smallest nugs on the right. The brewed tea reflects that, and of course the brewed leaves reflect that even more closely. Most mature, medium mature, and least mature. Guess what? My impression now, I'm intentionally saving these for to be able to taste them off the camera once again. But I'm guessing we're going to go with the middle batch for perhaps obvious reasons. It's kind of got the best of both worlds. It's got complexity. It's got delicacy. It's not too... This one is subtle and may not have enough pronounced qualities to satisfy all of us. And this one is a bit darker green. I would say that if I were to be more aggressively critical, there might be some moisture content left in these leaves. There's a little, well, I would say the most transparent and translucent is the middle batch again. It's a bit hard to tell in this lighting, but yeah, overall, it's got a nice, substantial golden hue, but it's very transparent at the same time. This one's strictly lighter than this one, but this one's a tad murky in comparison. Still very luminescent, but particularly with the third brew, it's got a little bit of a darker hue to it. Okay, I'll do a sweep once again of the first two brews. These are probably the most fresh and indicative. A little more of the same, I would say. Subtle, more of the same flavor, a little more pronounced. I would say that this is the best bet so far. Do not throw your tea into your lungs. Yummy, yummy. This is fun. God, I've been waiting for this day for days on end, really. Like, this is my first tasting. I'm going to decide at this tasting. These samples are not big. When they are, when we're not in the factory tasting the tea as it's made, we have one or two brews to decide. And I like to go with my first impression. I'm learning that more and more, to just trust my gut feeling, go with the knowledge that I've gained, but don't overthink it. I wouldn't be dissatisfied with any of these brews. I think they did a really good job in processing. This crew is from the Lishan township in Lishan tea growing region, actually. They produce competition grade tea year after year. They take their crew from Lishan up to Lishan to do their thing. This tea, the boss of this factory is well known. He's one of the most sought after sources of competition grade tea. And these three batches show it. We're quite we're very happy to know him, and we're very grateful to be able to have first dibs on this quality of tea. So stay tuned for which one we pick. We'll have it on the shelf probably next week, and you can have it in the mail to you within days after that. Thanks for being with us.